I heard you were in Jamaica and Miami Lakes last week. How did it go?
I heard you were there with me. It was wonderful. It was so great to see all of our team across both the beautiful side of Miami Lakes and Jamaica. The energy is just amazing at both places. So I just want to say thank you very much for having us.
Yeah.
We had a wonderful time, and we can't wait to come back again soon.
Yes, and we learned a few things. One, marching bands are a great greeting, which is very funny. And the second is that when it comes to relay races, Max is much quicker than I am.
Yes,
So today's podcast, buddy, is about power up, embrace tech, and feel empowered.
nice.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
ready.
Let me say, technology is something I've lived with for my life. So this is a foreign concept that says it's prevalent in the business world because it's always been in my world forever. You and I 24 months ago came up with a strategy that says we want technology to be at the forefront of our thinking. And given our industry and all the things that we're experiencing, the pivot point made sense. So we created a digital first approach to things that we wanted to do both internally and externally. So it's one of our biggest pillars, as we call it.
hmm
If our folks were listening, what would we tell them from an advice or a viewpoint from an internal consumption perspective? What would we give out there?
Sure. So what I would say is I think you and I are on the same page, and we've been pretty vocal about this in the market externally as we have been internally with all of our folks around the world, is that, there is absolutely a place for AI in almost every aspect of our business, right? And if you think about the end-to-end chain of what we do as a company, right, from all the way from trying to find the right people to hire, to train, to put in production, to retrain or constantly upskill our agents, through the entire thing, not to mention all of the behind the scenes things that people don't see in
Mm,
production.
mm,
I think I think not to give ourselves a pat on our own backs, which I'm sure everyone would love to do. I think we've done an excellent job of working on creating the infrastructure for modules of AI use cases, right? And so we're using now AI in recruitment. We're using AI in
mm,
how we market outside to attract talent. We're using AI modules in how we approach training. Now we're looking at AI modules in how we manage our folks in operations on a day-to-day basis. AI modules in how we can provide real-time training. And then if you look at, let's call it in production use cases, partnerships with companies like Crescendo and Domu and others to really accelerate the human in the loop strategy that we have, I think is really starting to pay off. And I think
yeah,
the thing that from an internal perspective that I'm the most excited by is that I think our people are really trying to grasp it, understand it, and use it to upskill their own what they do on a day-to-day basis, as well as provide a better quality of service for our customers. And the truth's in the numbers, right? Other people may
yeah.
say, performance is subjective. It's not, right? Our clients are the ones that rank us. And 90% of our people, I think largely because of all of the hard work our people do, as well as the, let's call it supported by the AI infrastructure that we've put in place, has really enabled an upskilling in our overall performance, which is great.
Part of the evolution of any kind of disruption to a market is to internalize it, so that people can get familiar with it in various ways, and then to externalize it when those folks can be the experts and give advice. They always the this phrase is eat your own dog food, which is so. I think we've done what the folks we haven't done anything besides strategize. But the reality is the hard work of adopting AI in legal for contracts management and understanding the risk mitigation of certain moves we make in the industry or across our landscape of learning, like you mentioned, in simulations capability or in Hawkeye, which is our ability to sort of take the first call with a AI assisted voice versus a live person. Therefore, you can practice in the overcoming the fear. From a marketplace, all those are directly relevant to our clients. In fact, most of our
Mm,
clients, some of our best clients, have come our way and said, in your quality programs, we've seen this augmented QA capability and what you've done with Performance Hub, and we want that. We want it for our own turn people. And can you help us? And so we've had to commercially make available our solution around QA and Performance Hub and the things we're doing automation wise there so that we could sell it to other BPOs as a both subscription license and a maintenance service capability. And then you mentioned Crescendo and Masubi and Domu. In all cases, they're AI enabled businesses for us. Our concierge services has, at the end of it has been a huge boost for Crescendo to be able to handle the
Mhm.
virtual calls and deflection, but also for them to be a full end-to-end solution from an agentic ability to actually solve some of our biggest problems like password, change management or HR validation of addresses. It's always good when the best people at our ranks, our own people talk about it is, well, this is what I did running the internal call center for Alorica, and then this is what I
Yeah.
did when I've done legal.
I mean, as you think
Yeah.
about it, like I think the question that I'm sure a lot of our folks have, right, which is, AI is going to eliminate all jobs in CX, right? Like that's what it is. People are concerned, I'm sure. How do we ensure that technology strengthens that but doesn't outright replace all the human skills that make us create what we do? And what do you think we are doing well to provide folks resources to learn how to, like, my favorite quote, like the Doctor Strange stuff quote, like how I learned to stop worrying and love AI, and create opportunities for employees to get employed and educated.
But I'll start with the controversial statement. I think AI replacing humans uh, is just a justification for buying something today. It's not necessarily a strategic intent, nor the actual strategic outcome of an AI-enabled enterprise. It's inherently becoming smarter. It's
Hmm.
becoming faster. It's becoming more nimble, and those are about access to information, decision making, velocity of those things. So my sense is, how do we get our folks ready? Is I believe strongly offer them training in micro learnings, in simulations, in university type structures, in third party capabilities, in partnership constructs. If people feel like you're giving them the training, the knowledge, and the ability to surround themselves with those tools in an easy to use way, then the fear goes away, because the fear is about selling today. How do you sell AI and justify the expense of it? I think tomorrow it turns into, and I think it's already has, we talked about this a little earlier today, which is
Yeah.
markets pivot. It's not about people being taken out of the equation anymore. It's about becoming smarter and quicker and nimble. So I think, to me, I think we see those things happen. I think we have better examples. You probably know them better than me in terms of the tools we've used to do that. But that's the way I view it.
Yeah, I think I listen, I think you're right. I think the focus that our I think I would say for our teams is that to holistically embrace some of these things, right? Like talk about you mentioned Performance Hub. So let's use that as a real example. Right? Performance Hub has the capabilities to really upgrade and upskill our day-to-day production around the
Mm,
world. But it only has those as our people use them on a day-to-day basis. And so I think one of the things that I think you and I have felt as we've gone over the last 24 months is that what we, I think, need to make sure we move away from is this fear that embracing technology will somehow have an immediate impact on an individual job or an individual responsibility or something the like. Quite the opposite. We think that there's boundless opportunity for us as a company in terms of our ability to perform at the level we're performing. No one else in the industry is performing as well as we are. No one else has embraced as much technology as we have, and no one else is doing such a fantastic job from a performance, financial, technology bend, the three priorities, as well as the kind of foundational investment in our people that we have as a company. And so to me, worrying about, whether you're still good to use a typewriter is a bad waste of time, right? Learning about the future and finding ways to inject it in your day-to-day life
mm,
across all different aspects of our company is a great way for you to kind of accelerate and move up that curve. And we're seeing it, right? Like our clients are increasingly asking us to do more and more complex tasks for them using
mm.
our people and leveraging AI. Very few, if any, are reducing the amount of volume they have with us as a direct function of AI. I can't think of one account where that's the case. As we think about the aggregate business across verticals, across geographies, people are increasingly moving up the stack of complexity and our people are being trusted to do so. So the more that you can leverage AI as an agent, as a team leader, as an operations manager, all the way up to Mike, you and I, the better we'll be as a company to be an
Mm.
AI centric, digitally native AI company in the future. But today, embracing it across our entire business in any kind of way.
Fear is a real call a thing in the case of AI adoption, where people feel like, or have been told, or the industry said that it's going to do something. And I think the reality of that is, to your point, very proven that it's been not the case. It's been as
Yeah.
a plus plus feature.
I think sometimes we spend too long examining and re examining versus trying. I think what's increasingly happening in a speed with which, and you talk about this all the time, if you think about AI as a child, right, in
Mm.
terms of a few years, let's call it 6 months ago, that child might have been a month old. Now the child, almost 6 months later, is probably 12, not just 6 months older, right? And in another 6 months, that child may have a graduate degree because the pace of change is increasing. So that slope, not to get too mathy on everyone, because I know how much everyone loves math, the slope or the rate of change is increasing in a dramatic fashion. And so the old model of going through review after review after review, pilot after pilot after pilot is antiquated. And so the
Mm.
thing I think that if I could go back in time when you and I first started, I'd say, the old saying of let 1,000 flowers bloom, right? Like it might be a little bit messy at first, but we'll hone to the right thing. The other thing I would say is don't expect perfection out the gate.
Yeah.
I think there are several technologies that you and I will go nameless have tried to use. And when we first tried to run them out the gate, they didn't meet the highest standard of, it wasn't the Visa payment platform that exists around the world. It doesn't have that level of perfection. Um, so I think we need to be a little, I say patiently impatient, right?
Mm.
Like realize the stake in development something's in, work with that technology, don't fight it. But then I would say, like, if things are not working, raise your hand and identify. Don't just say, this doesn't work. That doesn't help anybody. Say, this part of this thing doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that's the piece that a technologist like yourself, or as I attempt to do, could say, okay, what is the real backing behind why that's an issue and where that's getting stuck? How do we make that unstuck and then move forward?
Maybe I'd look at it in terms of uh, a historical narrative. So technologists like to look at what is the organization's propensity to adopt things and how much change culturally, how fast does it learn? Like, so those are tools when you think about putting tech in, right? You have to understand
Hmm.
those behaviors because those behaviors determine success criteria of implementing anything. And if the DNA of the company has been predominantly underinvest in tech, projects of technology prowess tend to be big boulders and not small pebbles or small stones where they're incremental.
Mm,
Then the Big Bang theory has to apply that if you don't get it right, you've admittedly failed. And the tolerance
hmm.
for failure, to your point, at a Big Bang theory, the tolerance for failure is, you know, everybody's dead.
Yeah,
Reality is it didn't work. Time for you to go away. So you have to almost reconstitute the cultural attributes of, to your point, it doesn't need to, if you're developing a phone for the first, you're not shooting to replace the iPhone. You'd love to, but the reality is you're shooting for a concept that you can produce, that you can start to test certain features and sets on. In our case, I think you're right. We should go faster. And I do think the muscle memory of our company has moved from massive boulders to just more incremental deliverables where perfection is not the reality and failure is okay. And I think that's the one thing that we probably didn't have the greatest line of sight to, but in reality, we could have probably readied more of our operating committee in the next level, the SLT level. It says it's okay to do this stuff and it's also okay to fail a few things. But failure is actually learning and getting better, not necessarily
yeah.
stopping, right? So
I think sometimes we like to think about Alorica as pockets of Aloricans around the world,
mhm,
right? And, like I'll use the example of our recruiting tool that we use in Latin America, right? They've been using an AI-based recruiting tool for a longer period of time than
mm,
probably any other of our regions. And I think one of the things that we need to do a better job of is the sharing the experience of engaging with technology on a peer-to-peer basis as you go around the world, right? Because some places we're going to try different technologies, other places we're not going to because of different reasons, right? And I think what we need to do is, as you have questions or things that come up, don't be afraid to, kind of reach across the aisle or talk to your peer to say, hey, this happened when we were using this technology. What was your kind of experience with it and how did you solve this challenge? Because they may have come up with an answer. I
mm,
think, like,
yeah,
and so to your point about changing the culture of trying things, failing successfully or failing fast, right? Which is the term that everyone in technology likes to use. I think that's something that we can change this year in 2026 to really try to embrace technology, acknowledge it's not going to be perfect,
mm,
and embrace a culture of trying
mm,
and not making sure. Because I think if we don't, I think it's going to take us too long for us to really have the impact that we needed to. And in a time when timeliness is key, like I think you and I wake up every day and we feel like we're the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland. We're late, right? So I feel like it's a great way. It's a great reminder, I think, for all of us
The pressure's
that
real. The pressure's real.
we gotta go. We gotta go. So I just add that.
For those who listen to this externally, we are still on the road and we will always be on the road. So good luck keeping
That's right. Good luck. Good luck. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your time.